Morning. I'm just going to do a short video on the new printer I've got, which is the Anycubic 4max Pro. Now I've had it about a couple of months now, and I've had a couple of issues with it from when I first purchased it. It's a good printer, but like any Chinese printer, sometimes you'll get one that works fine, and then other times you'll have teething issues. Well, I had teething issues with this Any 4max Pro. One of the, I had two problems with it really, and the only two problems, and that was that on the front of the machine, which is from this side to that side, and there's one at the back repeated, is a shaft. It's a drive shaft, and on it at the end are two toothed pulleys for the belts that run either side. Now what had happened, and I've noticed that somebody's had the same problem on a forum on Facebook, and that is that the shaft's out at one side. Mine was out at this side, and when I come to look, I could slide the shaft back in the bearing, there wasn't a problem, but it just popped out again once I started using it. And I thought, it shouldn't be like this. So when I looked, and it was a reasonably simple fix. You've got to undo the pulley either end, then slide the shaft into this side, then move your pulleys back out and space them so that there's very little free play, just enough, and then tighten the pulleys back up, make sure they're in line with the belts, and then you're good to go again. Once I'd done that, brilliant. It was just a question of getting to know the software and getting the prints going. Now upstairs I have, in my other computer room, I have a couple of printers in there. I have a Zortrax M200, which I've had for quite a while. Superb printer, and I've said it before on some of my other videos. The prints I get off that are second to none. I'd like to see what the M200 Plus is like, and I've also got the Robux Dual printhead. That's reasonably new. I've done a little bit of printing on it, but not too much. I will be doing a video on that when I get a chance. I'm a bit busy at the moment. Now, the other fault that I had with the 4max Pro was the actual cross belt that moves the printhead from side to side. I come in one morning, I thought I'll switch the printer on, homed it, and I thought there's something jumping, and when I come to look, the belt had gone slack. It had pulled out. It hadn't been secured on the part where it secures it. So I had to set to, that wasn't such an easy fix, because it meant I had to disassemble some of the print head, but I cured that, and touch wood, since I've done that I've had no problems whatsoever with the printer. I mean, it proves that other people have had the same fault, or one of the same faults with the shaft. I believe theirs was the rear shaft above the drive motor. So anyway, I mean, once I'd sorted that was fine. The other little niggling problem is inside the cover, plastic cover. If you're doing ABS, or I use a lot of hips, I think it's brilliant. I'll explain a bit more in that in a moment, but there's a little plastic nobule that's on the inside of the cover that this PTF tube, when it's in certain part of motion, it catches a nobule, and you can see it. It makes an awful noise. So what I had to do initially to make it run smooth is to just grind that away. It's on the underside. It's only where it's been cast, been moulded, the plastic cover. Apart from that, the printer is really good. And as I say, all the test prints I did were, I mean, this is just a raft off an item that I was printing, and if you look at the quality of, you can see the quality of that raft there. You can see where the item's being pulled off. There's a raft, that's as good as my Zortrax, and it pulled straight off. As I say, I've been doing, what I initially started to do was I'll do some larger prints, because that's what I initially got this for. So I went on Thingiverse, and I just happened to be looking when my grandson was here, and he said, "Oh, Grandad," he said, "they do Harry Potter stuff on here." I said, "Oh, no." I said, "Yes, they do, love. Would you print me something off?" I said, "Yeah, what do you want?" And he says, "I love Dobby." So anyway, I went on, searched, and found a print that was in multiple stages. It was quite large, but obviously, in fact, I think you better see him on just to the left hand side of the printer. But it's quite rather tall, but it comes in sections. So, and you've got to obviously glue it together. It takes a bit of time in printing, but I will put a link to the source of the Dobby, because it's one of, I've seen them before on, but this is one of probably the best I've seen. And when they print out, they fit together as well. They're a little work on the joints. Now, I did print the original one out that I made I printed it out in PLA. So I got it with the machine, so I thought I'll try it. It was fine. But when I come to put the model together, I realised that the adhesive I use for hips and ABS doesn't work on PLA. It's one of the things you find out. So I had to go back to the old way of gluing, which I put it together and it was fine. Never painted anything before in my life, and I realised then that I couldn't just leave it white. I had to paint it. So I set about, got a couple of pictures and worked off them, got the paints, and I set to her, and I'll show you the finished item once I've gone through the model printed. So I thought, right, fine, and I printed it, and then I realised I had another problem, because the other grandchildren, well, they like one as well. So believe me, painting a few is no joke. First one's good, second one's a bit less pleasing, but I'm gonna get there. I'll get it done. But the printer itself is, I've just done it, finished off the last part of a Dobby, and I'll show you how they come together. But this is the model. Now you can see it on the platter inside there. That's cooled down, it's finished printing, and I'll show you how easy it is to come off. That's how easy it comes off the bed of this printer. It's absolutely superb. Once you've got the settings right and it calibrated, it's very, very good. Now that's the upper torso with the arms for the or rather mid torso with the arms on for the Dobby. And if you look at the detail on that, you see all the supports, they come off reasonably clean. You've got to clean up a little bit, but you can see, and that's the brim that's around it, and that's the underneath side. As you can see, very smooth, very clean. The little triangular piece is you have a female on the underside of the sections and a male on the top side. you've just got to take a bit of support out of that, and then there's not much in that one, but normally you take a little bit of support out, and then you put it together. Now I'll show you the head. This is the top section, this is the head. You can see the quality of that. It's even got supports inside the ears there. Nostrils, it's got them on the nostrils there. And if you look at there are some layer lines, but there's no mist. And one thing that this model is very good at is the eyes. Those eyes are superb. You can see them, very little work to do, and one of the features of this model is getting the eyes right. The eyes have to pop, because otherwise the model doesn't work. And I went on YouTube, and there was it was actually a lady that said how to get eyes on models looking really realistic, and I'll show you on the finished one. I'll explain how that was done. So that's the head section. So then I pick the shoulders one up, which is that one, and you can see the detail on that. It's got supports there under the chin. Really good. And that locks in, locates there. So that's the first part. I mean, obviously I haven't taken these off. I've done this, I've left these on to actually show you what it comes like once you've taken it off the printer. When you get the arms, that's then you get the bottom part. That's got, you can't see them for the supports, but it's actually got the legs covered by the supports because it's supporting his bottom, but his legs are hidden in there, and there's a space obviously right through the centre. Now I put that there, you can still see that. Now that's the base, that's what comes with the legs. Now if you can see that underneath, how small that is, that's due to that platter. So obviously when you're working with the brim, when you take it off there, the smaller that is, the better it is for gluing and fastening it together. And that's the detail on the top. Those marks are meant to be, and that's part of the model. And the two location pegs for the knees. So I'll pop that there. Now this is a finished one, all glued together. Now you can just see a shiny part there around the joints, but that is solely where the adhesive been. I've done nothing with this, I've not rubbed it down, I've just glued it together. Now interesting, I'll just get that here. I use for hips and ABS that liquid. That's just like a liquid, like water really. It smells quite a bit, but you'll find out that when you put your models together in ABS or hips, I haven't tried it on, it doesn't work on PLA, I found that out, so it's pointless. I learnt the hard way with that. But on hips or ABS, all you do is put the two parts together, and with a dipper brush in that, and then it's like soldering. You run the liquid off the brush, you touch the joint and it runs in, and you just work all the way around. touching it and just holding it, and it runs in the joint. It immediately starts to bond. It starts to melt both surfaces ever so slightly, and then you hold it for about 20-30 seconds, that's it. And then all you do then is pop it down, leave it, and then 10-15 minutes later I go back on and do the other section. Now the beauty about that stuff is it leaves a shiny surface, but if you have a roughish area you can actually brush it on, and it'll actually smooth it in. It's only about, it's 100ml bottle, but it goes a long way, and it actually is about £7, which for hips and ABS, rather than using the super glues and all the other epoxy resins and that, which can be very messy, that's superb, and you won't break that joint. Trust me on that one. You know, you'll break the printed surface rather than the joint. So any small detail that you can't get into rub down, just push some of that in, because paint goes straight over it then. Light rubbing goes straight over. It's very good stuff, and I suggest that if you're using IPS or ABS, get some of that and try it for yourself at price. Just try it. I mean, the one thing that fluid will do as well is, if you get a little jar and put your offcuts in from your material and pop a little bit of that in and mix it up, you can mix it to whatever consistency you want, and what that does then is it enables you to use it as a filler, and it's really good. You know, I've tried all sorts of fillers, but if you've got something that's made the same way as the plastic that you're using, it's brilliant. But I mean, you look at the fingers on that, the detail on the fingers, superb. This is my other. I've got another 2 to do. But as I say, the where this has been done, and I'll put the link on, please try it, because this tests your printer out. It really does, the quality of your prints. And as you see, the detail on that is superb, and it's not even been rubbed down. Just had all the supports clipped off. And they're quite tall. Now that's an unfinished one, and 2 Blue Peter Passion. I've got one, the original that I painted, and here he is in all his glory. Now, alright, I've seen that many on various forums and what have you, people's put on pictures of Dobbies have done wherever they've done them from. I've not seen one of these painted up, and they'll all be varying slightly because everybody has an idea of what the colour should be. But I worked from some a print that my wife took off for me, and now this is it's all painted in acrylics, and if you look at, it's a bit difficult to show the colour, but I'm hoping you're getting it. It's the lighting here in this workshop. But if you look at the eyes, you'll see the eyes have a glaze on them, and they really do pop. Even from the, if you look from the side, you can see the eyes, and it's critical in this figure that the eyes are right. You can get away with other things on the figure, but you won't with the eyes. And I looked long and hard, and there was a lady on YouTube that does eyes, and what she did was, once she's painted the eye part, the white part of the eye, then she'll do the pupil, and then while the paint is still wet, what they'll do is she'll draw lines through, ever so fine lines, and that gives you the graining of the pupil inside, because the white slightly shows through. Then she'll put the black in the centre, move it into that. Once it's dry, the trick is then to get that eye right, that makes it stand out, is she mixes a bit of clear epoxy resin ever so slightly and drops it in the centre and works it round. That makes your centre of your eye stand out. I mean, when you see it afterwards when it's dried and it clears, because it ain't clear until it's dried, it's superb. I mean, it really is. I mean, they actually look like his eyes. The rest of it is, I rubbed it down and I didn't do that much, and I sprayed on it with an airbrush a filler primer. In actual fact, the stuff I use is what I used to spray me motorcycle fairings with. It's a flexible one. I sprayed it on about 2 or 3 coats, flattened it off, and then the rest of the paint is acrylic, little tubes of acrylic paint, and all I did was just blend it in and then wet it in areas to smooth it in and give it its appearance. And then once I'd done it, what I sprayed over it to give it a fixing coat, I used a satin water-based clear lacquer. I got it from a cheap hardware store. It was about £4 for a litre, £4.50 for a litre. I thin it down, mix it with a little bit of water, and then I put light coats on, and that's what fixes the colour in place. And it's, as I say, the wife's claimed this, so I've got quite a few more to do on that side. But I'll just get another model. Right, I'm back. Sorry about that. The other thing from my grandchildren liked was the niffler, and I thought, can I get that Thingiverse again? And sure enough, there were a model on, and that's a model of the niffler. Yes, it's all painted up. It looks quite authentic. You can have this model, you can resize to whatever you want. I just did this size to show it, and if you look at it closely, you'll see just some faint layer lines. I never rubbed this down. I did nothing with it. That is how it came off the printer. That printer. And I've done 2 of these and painted them, and to say that's come off a printer like that, that's very good. And just a little bit, you can see underneath on his feet a few layer lines, just slightly, but it meant I just wanted to paint it. They weren't truly bothered about it, was the grandchildren, so I've done a couple of these. I've got some more to do, but it shows what this printer is capable of. I mean, when you go on the forums, there's people having difficulties with various prints, not adhering to the bed and this and that. It took me a little bit of time to just level it, as it's suggested with the paper underneath, and I use a sticky note paper and just tear them off each time. I've a pack there, and that's what I use. Just tear one off, use it to actually, and that was a tip from somebody else. I use it, and I've never had to level it since. I did it 2 or 3 times to get used to it when I first got the printer, and I haven't touched it since, because you do not have to start scraping to get the prints off. They just leave it to cool and it just pops off. But that is how easy it comes off, once you've left it cooling. As I say, I've printed PLA, I've done ABS on it, and I've done hips. Now I like hips. as I say, I print a lot of models in Hibs, and it's, for me, that's what I like. I've got some other filaments to try. I haven't tried them yet. I've tried flexible yet, but I am going to try it. But as I say, it's only a short video. Stick with it if you've got one, and if you have any problems, if I can help you at all, just give us send me an email message, and I'll try and help you where I can. I mean, mine's kept up down here, and I put all my filaments in zip tight bags so there's no moisture can get to them, because this is my workshop under my house, so it's quite dry. I mean, it's a bit crowded at the moment because I have 2 motorbikes in, and here I have the Anycubic Photon S. I bought both printers together as a package deal, but you know, I think I paid somewhere in the region of about just over £400 for that, for the Photon S resin printer. That's never been used. I've not used that yet. I'm hoping to do some lithoplanes on it, because I don't know anybody that does lithoplanes on a resin printer, but anyway, I'm going to try it for the size that I want. This one were about just short of 500. Well, you can get this now for, cheapest I've seen this one is £398. That one, I've seen it under £300. So I bought the higher spectrum when they first came out, so it pays sometimes just to hang fire a little bit, because you can get some better deals 6 months down the line, and also you get to know more problems. That was the reason when it had just come out. It was the Anycubic 4max that was on before. It's like a lot different looking than that, and I went for this because it was totally enclosed. But as I say, any more models I get a chance to print, or anything else that I find out, I will put on YouTube. I don't get many views on some of the videos because they were only out there really. I only put them out to help people that were having the same problems, or initially with the M200 that I had, although I've had no problems with the M200, the Zortrax. I was contemplating getting the M300 Plus, but it's a little bit out of my price range. But till next time, I'll sign off, and anybody out there that's got one of the 4max Pros, as I say, stick with it. You will get some good prints off it. It's only a question of the settings, and as I say, email me if you want, and I'll try and help you wherever I can. So till next time, thanks and bye.